So no, I see your point. I think one issue I wanted to raise, and I think this is more for the spectator rather than the player themselves, is I think having the competition on Premier Sports is frustrating. And I haven't subscribed yet. I'll be honest. I had to watch highlights back. Nick, Chewy, have you got your subscription sorted?
I said my piece. I said my piece at the weekend, and
look, I mean, I've got my sub sorted, yes, and but my feeling is that at least it's on something, because at one stage it looked like it wasn't going to be anywhere.
But what does that say? We're sort of taking a silver lining when it's not one. Let's be honest. You have to have two different subscriptions in the UK or in England to watch, the two competitions.
I think you have to ask why there is no terrestrial bid for it. Why TNT decided that they weren't going to keep it. There are all manner of things that come into it. I mean, it's just that, and I'm afraid that in my view, you've also got to look at competition structure. And I feel that, I take the points that Jack's made, and I certainly take the point that, when you're involved in a competition, you play the competition as it is for everything you can. But I do think that, the sort of the tinkering with the format from the heyday of the European Cup, which was, far and away the best tournament, the best non-international tournament in the world, has reduced its appeal in one way or another. So, I think that looking at competition formats, as far as the whole game is concerned, competitions make in pro sport, they are absolutely critical to the success of the sport. And I think that there is a lot of mucking around that goes on, which is more about, frankly, more about a commercial element than it is about the integrity of competitions.
That is absolutely it. It's always the tension between audience size and money.
Yeah,
and it's never even an argument in sport these days.
But now, Chris, the thing is that
I was with the late Eddie Butler the day, I think it was in 2001, on the Lions tour, when it was announced that the BBC had lost the Heineken Cup. In fact, they hadn't even bid for it. That was the truth of the matter. And it was that season when Leicester played Munster on a Sunday afternoon. I'm not even sure it was a knockout game. It might have been the last game of the pool stage. The BBC had 2.5 million. 2.5 million. That is way over 10 times more, even with my maths, Ollie, than anyone could expect now. I mean, God knows what Premier Sports will drag in. I don't know. I bet you they don't announce the figures.
But what's interesting is that we say that it's all about, that it's commercial interests that are taking over, and yet the reality is that the broadcast money is getting smaller and smaller. So that it underpins so much, and it's sort of lose, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are multiple issues here. I think the point I was just trying to make is it's frustrating having rugby in two different places, or certainly English rugby in two different places, which
about 5 different places.
Shame. 5 different places, sure.